I'm Glenn Blair. Welcome to A Geezer's Perspective. During the worst of the pandemic, I rarely left the house. Found ways to have groceries and meals delivered. Got my hair cut at home. Zoomed through church services, too many funerals, and numerous other gatherings. My wife had died, and I was living in a new community, alone with my little dog. As time went on, there was increasing talk about the physical and mental health concerns, especially with the older population, of this isolation. I read about it, but didn't think it really applied to me. Despite my appearance to some, I'm essentially a loner. So my take on the isolation phase was how grateful and fortunate I was that confinement wouldn't bother me as it did most people. Over time, though, I began to understand and realize that I was not immune to its negative effects. Recently, the Wall Street Journal had a remarkable article entitled "The Real Secret of Lifelong Fulfillment," taken from a new book, The Good Life: Lessons from the World's Longest Scientific Study of Happiness, by Doctors Robert Waldinger and Marc Schulz, who head the Harvard Study of Adult Development. Their conclusion, based on a fascinating ongoing 85-year-old study, was that as important as diet, exercise, and career achievement are, the single most significant factor in health and happiness is good relationships. They determined this by tracking, since 1938, the lives of a group of 724 young men and 1,300 of their male and female descendants. The study originators selected a mix of students from fortunate and unfortunate backgrounds in Boston. Over the years, they were regularly evaluated mentally and physically, surveyed, and personally interviewed. As the group reached their 80s, the researchers looked at their behaviors when they were in their 50s to see if they could isolate and identify predictors of lifelong health and happiness. But it wasn't their middle-aged cholesterol levels that predicted healthy, happy lives. It was how satisfied they were in their relationships. Those that were the most satisfied at age 50 were the healthiest mentally and physically at age 80. The authors cited a host of recent studies to support their theses. A Baltimore study found that social support resulted in reduced depression. Another in Chicago correlated satisfying relationships with higher levels of happiness. A New Zealand study found that social connections of adolescents were better than academic achievement at predicting well-being as adults. Having friends was better than getting good grades. A study about loneliness found it resulted in greater sensitivity to pain, suppression of the immune system, and poor sleep. Another, that loneliness is twice as unhealthy as obesity, and chronic loneliness increases a person's odds of death by 26%. Okay, but it's not easy. As with so many self-improvement recommendations, it is a lot easier to accept the concept and vow change than it is to do it. Not everyone is good or comfortable trying to make new friends. The sad reality is that older people, certainly people of my age, are losing friends faster than they can make new ones. And the new friends can't replace relationships that are often decades old. Doctors Waldinger and Schulz concluded their article by saying, over and over again, when the participants in the Harvard study reached their 70s and 80s, they would make a point of saying that what they valued most were their relationships with friends and family. If we accept their wisdom, and more recently the scientific evidence, that our relationships are among our most valuable tools for sustaining health and happiness, then choosing to invest time and energy in them today becomes vitally important. It's an investment that will affect everything about how we live in the future. Let's follow their advice and make that investment. Consciously try to expand and strengthen our relationships. Treat them with the same reverence we give exercise and diet. Look for opportunities and make time for them. I can trace virtually everything good that has happened to me since my wife's death to friendships that evolved from a single meeting that I forced myself to go to. Well, what do you think? Leave a comment if you like. I'd love to see it. And if you find the musings of this old geezer interesting, give some thought to becoming a subscriber. Thank you.